Heyo, before the video begins, we'd just like to inform you that this video has been recorded hella long ago. And when I mean hella long ago, I mean very, very long ago. The reason we're telling you this is because sometimes we'll be making temporal references like this thing 2 months ago, and you'll be like, damn, so at the start of the summer? No, it was not at the start of the summer. It was like almost a year ago, or more than a year ago. I don't even know. This one has been in the oven for quite a while. Also, we are sorry for the lack of When They Cry content in this When They Cry channel. It's been kind of hard getting people to record because, it's summer. Everyone's scattered to the four winds. But be patient, my child, for your wait will not be in vain. Your patience will be rewarded.
Hello! Welcome to an episode of What is this? This is the
Whoa.
Secret Tea Party.
Wow. Wow.
I hope everybody's excited.
A new podcast subcategory? What is this? Secrets? News? Whoa.
Exactly. So this is called the Secret Tea Party. This is our new category where we as witches get together and talk about visual novels
Anything.
that are anything. Maybe not even visual novels. Maybe we'll branch out from that too. But
Yes.
we'll basically talk about things that are not when we cry and not some
when they
expansion.
cry. They are not when they cry. But
Oh my god. My mouth is dying already. So yes, not when they cry, not 7 expansion. And let's introduce everybody. Then we will talk about what we're going to talk about today.
okay.
So hello, this is your friendly neighborhood mushroom.
This is Miyuki Simp number 2 Des.
Horse scam, I guess.
Wow.
I think.
Very uncertain horse scam, I guess. A certain uncertain horse scam.
And I'm Doki Doki Literature Club lover
Oh
Jensen.
no.
That was
Okay.
a joke. I'm
Fuck
ironic.
you. I own like 4 copies of Donkey Donkey Literature. You can't compete with me.
Okay,
I
so
only own 3.
from how many times we have mentioned Doki Doki Literature Club, you might have some idea of what we're going to talk about. Today we're going to talk about... We're going to talk
That's what they're
about...
talking about, right?
Yeah,
Doki Doki?
unfortunately, we are...
Yeah, we're doing a Donkey Donkey Literature.
So today's episode, we're going to talk about You and Me and Her, a love story. So yeah, I'm really excited. I've been talking about You and Me and Her since the dawn of time. One of the funniest stories of me in university is in a 2019 conversation in a club, some girl was talking about how she liked the Toki Toki Literature Club with this guy I know, and I just barged into a conversation and was like, actually, and the other guy says, actually, she's gonna
Oh
talk
my
about
God.
You and Me and Her. And then I was like, how did you know? And he's like, I've heard this like rant like 5 times now. Like, and I was like, I don't even know this game. It's not in English. And
So you pulled the classic door to door. May I introduce you to my religion?
yes, but the funny thing is, because You and Me and Her didn't even have a English translation, I used to call it You and Her and You and the Girl and Her. Like, it's like, I wouldn't have translated because it's Kimi to kanojo no koi. Like, so how would you even possibly translate that? It's like a pun against her and my girlfriend. And I don't know. Doesn't matter. So...
Okay.
We'll get there. So beforehand, we want to basically sell this game to people in a non-spoiler way if this is the first time you hear
Yes.
about this game. So yeah, how would you sell this game to non-spoiler people?
Well, the way I would sell this game to other people without getting on spoilers is actually bringing back one of the biggest discussions we've had about, like, discussions in the sense that, yeah, let's have a civilized argument about the topic that we've had on this server, which is, can sex scenes have plot? Question mark. And this argument is the reason we all started reading You and Me and Her, is because Mushroom was like, yes, here is this VN, go read it, and then we'll resume the discussion. And then we did. And here we are now.
Yeah, and also because I also couldn't shut the fuck up about it because a lot of people, it stemmed from this conversation where I think it was Horsegan, me, and Kirby, and Yesed, and Des was like just like chatting about what was our first VN, and I think half of people on the server was like, my first VN was Doki Doki Literature Club, and I was like,
Yes.
I'll kill all
we're all
of you.
that loser. We're all those losers.
Yeah, I was so mad, and I was like, please shut the fuck up about Doki Doki Literature Club. Here, go play You and Me and Her, and then come back to me.
Yeah, this is what
Yes.
most people do.
I'm fine, because Doki Doki Literature Club was my second VN.
Ooh, was Danganronpa your first?
No, it was Sayonota. Danganronpa was my third.
Oh, so you started off with something good and then you went
Yeah,
to crash
exactly.
later.
Yes.
Just for an idea, Sayonota is done by the same studio that made a You and Me and Her, so but it's less that. I think on the just not to get too spoilery for Sayonota and not to spoil our eventual Sayonota episode, but I was gonna say, like, there's sex that really makes the story good in You and Me and Her, and then sex that just is just too much in Sayonota, even in the censored version. So yes, Horse Game. How would you sell this game?
Like you said, it's like Doki Doki Literature Club, but way better and a bit longer. Because I think Doki Doki Literature Club is like 4 hours, and this is like 6 or 8.
What?
No, it's
You and
not.
Me and Her
That's-
is 6 or 8 hours?
No, You and Me and Her is at least 20.
20?
At least
What?
20? I
At
thought it
least-
was like
or
10 to 15
and
hours.
10 to 15, depends on how
I
fast.
read it pretty quickly.
I mean, I also read it pretty quickly, but like, I don't think like most people could finish it in like 8 hours.
Yeah, because you can only read it when nobody else is at home.
I mean, you can just do the all ages version, which cuts out probably some plot points.
Okay, we'll get there, but just for everybody's knowledge, today we are going to talk about things in the uncensored version, which means that we're going to talk about sex and a lot of other things with sex. However, we will have a sex section. Ooh, that is a hard.
We'll have
tongue
an
twister.
18
A
plus
sex
section.
Yes, we're gonna have an 18 plus section in the very end. So if you're not really comfortable with that topic, you'll know when to stop listening.
Yes.
I also do not recommend the uncensored version. If you're going to buy this game on Steam, please also just go spend $3 more to buy the full version, just to buy all the sex scenes on the Jazz USA website, and it would actually it elevates the game. Like, I think the uncensored version is bad, and we'll talk more about that when we get to spoilers.
Yes, it comes back to what I was saying. The whole reason we started this was to answer the question, can sex scenes have plot? So playing the censored version, you're essentially losing a bit of the plot.
Of the plot.
Yeah.
A lot of the plot.
So, you ready to move on to the meat and potatoes of the game?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we move on?
I guess I would say that as, like, a short sell, like, if you saw Doki Doki Literature Club and saw potential in it, but thought it was just, like, too much of just a small trick and wanted, like, a whole VN instead, then you might like Yumi and Her, but you shouldn't really go into it just expecting Doki Doki Literature Club, but better. It's not the same, really. It just has similar medium tricks, but it has a lot more to actually say about the medium than just anime dating bad.
This also came from a huge part of me. Originally, we were gonna do a Doki Doki Literature Club versus You and Me and Her episode, but it ended up not being the way it is because at a certain point I felt extremely bad and embarrassing to even compare Doki Doki Literature Club to You and Me and Her. And this is going to be my hit piece on the person who made Doki Doki Literature Club, who only played 5 VNs before he made Doki Doki Literature Club. Like,
Oh my god, yeah, and they dropped Umineko.
oh, yes, okay. This is my personal hit piece on the person who made Doki Doki Literature Club. I don't think Doki Doki Club is bad, but I think it's bad that every single fucking Western person played it and was like, yes, this is what visual novels like. Dating sims, so disgusting. These funny Japanese otakus want to date women. Like, I don't know. It's like so fucking, it's so stupid. Like, every fucking person out there who wrote a think piece about how Doki Doki Literature Club is revolutionizing, like, gaming and visual novels, like, haven't read jack shit. Like, all you bitches owe me money.
Me and the only piece of media I've consumed is Family Guy. No, sorry, Horse Camp, don't
Don't diss Family Guy. You know what will happen when you diss Family Guy to me.
No, not the basement again, Harscam, not the chicken again.
I think, like, the stupid part about Doki Doki Literature Club's author only reading 5 VNs is that none of them are even really comparable to the genre that
Exactly.
Doki Doki Literature Club is trying to satirize, because, like, I read 999.
He read, I think, let me go actually find it. This is in his Reddit AMA, so these are all fully backed up by evidence, so I'm not going crazy. Let me just go look for it before we go on. Fuck, I should have just, like,
probably read, the
did this.
popular VNs that...
He read Steins Gate.
Okay.
He read Fate Stay Night. So somebody in the thread asked him, hey, since all these meta stuff that you do or all the quote-unquote meta stuff you do in Doki Doki Literature Club, have you read Umineko? And he was like, oh, I was introduced to the red text of Umineko, and I basically read up to EP2 and then never finished it. And I was like, what? Like, how did you just get to half of, half of Umineko and then just never finished it? Like, or half of EP2 and never finished it. Like, that's insane to me.
You got scared.
Well,
But Dan Savato, I have my eyes on you. Savato? Is that how you pronounce his name?
what?
Yeah,
How am I to know?
Oh, okay, see here. It says this. It says DDLC, this is by him on his AMA 4 years ago. It says DDLC was mostly influenced by non-VN games such as Umineko and Everson. And I played this is the 5 games he played. Tsukihime, Fate Stay Night, Steins Gate 999, and portions of various other games like Umineko, Claned, and some other. I wouldn't even say like half of those games are not.
I think all of those
sims,
games are,
and they're
aren't.
already.
Maybe Face Day Night to some
Well,
degree, but like,
Well, like, I guess...
but not very.
I mean, I guess, like, Tsukihime and Fate Stay Night have 8 scenes, but they aren't really the type of, like, Tokimeki memorial genre that it's trying to make fun of.
It's so disingenuous to me that somehow a man who only had read this little amount of visual novels, like, made a visual novel game and everybody was like, oh yes, this is the pinnacle of visual novels.
Wait, it says influenced by Umineko.
Super-
I don't understand how Umineko goes into like a dating sim like horror game.
I think it's just the medium tricks, probably.
Oh.
Or the imagery.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing something wrong. Has the creator of DDLC ever actually stated that DDLC is supposed to be commentary on the genre, or was that just the average Coomer hyping the story up, saying it was an exploration of the dating sim genre?
Most people did that. It's kind of a breakdown of the genre, but like in a...
But like, has the creator, because we're like dissing him, and we don't even know if he actually thinks DDLCs.
Here. Excuse me. So, if you want me to find you more, okay, I am dissing him not because I think of maybe he didn't come out, like, maybe he didn't make DDLC because he thinks he's gonna go out and, like, write about, like, this is, like, his commentary on, like, visual novels. However, that's how everybody in, like, reading the story made it seem to be.
Yeah, but that's not the fault of the creator, right?
Well,
like,
yeah, but I just
guy.
mean, like, I'm just saying that, like, even if it was not trying to do that, like, DDLC is just not that great of a game. I think it's just very mediocre. Like, it's, like, it was a free game that everybody got to play, and then people were like, wow, this is amazing. It's just, like, it's very standard. I wouldn't even, like, the tricks that it plays is something, like, pulling up your name is something that One Shot does in the first 5 minutes of the game.
To be fair, I have not played Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. I don't think any of us have. So I don't...
Oh yeah, we're not talking about Plus.
I have no idea what it adds or what the story is. I own it. I have it on my Switch, which came with a fun poem and a Literature Club card that I have in my wallet, because, you know, I'm cool.
Okay. I think we're a little bit off topic now, so should we start talking about you and me and her now?
Yes.
Yeah, we've definitely convinced all of the Doki Doki Literature Club fans that they should read Yumi and Her by saying Doki Doki Literature Club is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think Doki Doki Literature Club is good, then you should stay away from us.
I don't want to smell
Go
you.
watch Bijou Mike just scream about how this is just like Doki Doki Literature Club.
Like, DDLC is fun for is the fun as just like putting up a movie and watching it fun. But like, if you're trying to look for any deeper meaning in it or anything, then it's just, it's not that good. It depends on what you want from the game.
I still think that Doki Doki Literature Club is a good trick of a visual novel, but not really anything more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
DDLC should be the beginning of your visual novel experience and not the end of it.
Like, it was super fun to it was such a good it had such good content for memes. Like, it was a really nice addition to the internet culture at the time, but like, it doesn't have much value as a literary piece. I guess it's what we're trying.
Yeah, I think it was a good social experience at the like very beginning when it was just some game that popped up on Steam once.
Mm-hmm.
That you just like get told to read by your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, now everybody knows the whole entire plot summary by heart. So it's nothing about it is surprising anymore.
Okay, so let's start. So let's start from part 0. I think we already talked a lot about the things that we were going to talk about in part 0, but so, you know, this all started because I, Mushroom, could not shut the fuck up about You and Me and Her. We had a channel basically on our Discord where basically everybody read, like, who wanted to read You and Me and Her, read You and Me and Her in like 2 weeks time, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think we all just like read it together and then send screenshots constantly. It's funny because the unfortunate thing about my experience of playing Yumi and Her is I played Yumi and Her when it first got really popular, and when it first came out in 2013, I played around like 2014-ish. I played the Chinese version of it. And the thing is that because the game never translated into English, I wasn't able to basically recommend it to anybody I knew. And which also happened to be the fact that I would just bring it up constantly when anybody else was talking about Doki Doki Literature Club, because it drove me off the wall that people think, I mean, even if we weren't comparing Doki Doki Literature Club, there's so many other visual novels that does it better, like does a very equal amount of like, yes, meta narrative type setting. I mean, we're talking about Umineko, which is a very big meta commentary, maybe not about like player and the character gaining sentient, but still. And but finally finally You and Me and Her got an English translation and is finally on Steam, and that only happened in like last 2020 or 2021, I'm pretty sure. So I finally got to give every single person I know a copy, and now we're here, right?
Yes. In case it wasn't clear enough, we are going to start talking about spoilers. So if you haven't read You and Me and Her, this is the time for it to live. Hope we convince you to read it.
Yes, please read it. It doesn't take you that long. If our time is anything, I think it takes you at most 15 hours. If you're good. Fast, you can just read it in 2 days. I read it in 2 afternoons.
Mushroom, try not to belittle our viewers in a single episode challenge.
I read it in 1. Well, no, I read it in 2. Mostly because my first reading, I spent 2 hours reading it and I got bored.
Okay, we're going to talk about all the minutiae. So yes, let's talk about part 1. So part 1 is what I call the normal route with Miyuki and the slice of life stuff. So did you guys like this part?
It's interesting.
It's your average slice of life.
I would not say it's your average slice of life. I think it's probably the most boring slice of life I have ever read, honestly.
Whoa, that is harsh.
Okay.
It is very harsh, but like I was kind of bored.
When I said your average slice of life, I meant your average...
It's okay.
When I said your average slice of life, I meant your average slice of life of a dating VN, which is boring by itself.
Even like...
In my
it's
opinion.
like equivalent to like how Clannad does its slice of life scenes, where like you're mostly going to be really bored.
No, Clannad is interesting. I was hooked
Well,
on Clannad.
Clannad, like, it likes slowly drip feeding you some of the backstory stuff, but like when it does just slice of life, you're like, please just move on.
No, maybe we'll need to do a Clannad episode.
We'll get there. We'll get to.
I would have to read all of Clannad. That's 100-hour VN.
Me too. I've read like 10 hours of Clannad.
I'm not reading that.
Well, I mean, if we're doing a Clannad episode, we have to do way more than just doing a Clannad episode. We probably have to do like a whole category and do episodes upon episodes upon episode of Clannad.
Okay, never mind then.
No, we could do maybe 1 or 2. Clannad's not as big as Umineko.
I just said I'm not reading Clannad.
Okay.
I mean, I'm an outlier. I actually like the slice of life parts. I think there's a lot of really good dialogue in the slice of life parts. I like the setup of You, Me, and Her because like I feel like a lot of people go, if you think like, oh, it's Doki Doki Literature Club, it's like You and Me and Her. It's kind of jarring for You and Me and Her just starts with the fact that the main character picks up a phone and it has like the game on, like it has the game You and Me and Her on it, and then meets this girl who immediately says that she's from a video game, basically.
And then he calls God. That was so funny.
Yeah, and she calls
he just
God.
calls God.
Yeah, exactly. And have like Aoi basically being like sex now, like, you know. Do-do-do-do-do. Yeah. So also play this with full voice acting. It's really good. The voice acting.
When I get zappy.
Yeah, exactly.
When I get zappy.
I think like all of that is really good because the first chunk of the game, which is the normal route with Miyuki, is basically like the main character Shinichi trying to convince him and Miyuki trying to convince Aoi that like, you know, you should be grounded in reality. Like the life is not a video game. You can't just like say like you want to have sex with random people. Like that is like like you should respect yourself more. Like I actually really like that part. This is what I mean by the uncensored version just is so much better than the censored version because there's the conversation Aoi has with Shinichi in front of the school where she's like, oh, you know, like you can do whatever the fuck you want, like as in like, oh, like do you want to have sex with me, like do you want me to do like give you a blowjob, like, and she like keeps going and then like and Shinichi just stops her and just says, why are you saying these like horrible things about yourself? Like, you know, you should respect yourself more. Like, I don't want to have, like, I didn't be friends with you because I want to have sex with you. Like, I just thought you would be my friend. And it's a good scene. It's like a genuinely good scene and she cries and you're like, wow, that scene has some teeth in it. But then in the censored version, like she just says like they just cut out all of the really fucked up shit she says, and it just seems like a scene where like Shinichi just snaps at her, so it just completely loses its flavor. Yesid, what do you think about the beginning part?
I thought it was like okay, where it wasn't like great, but it didn't feel like it was like, aha, we're doing a slice of life to bait you, so we're making it intentionally bad.
I mean, I don't even think it's bad. I genuinely don't even like.
No, I don't think it's. I was saying that it wasn't that. I more just like how it connects to the second half than just it by itself. But I do think it does a good job, like building just kind of bits of intrigue here and there.
Yeah, I also think
But
what are you gonna say, Des?
even if it like it does have some parts of mystery where just like, this was kind of weird. Like it kind, even if you don't have the expectations of, yes, this is gonna turn into a meta commentary kind of story, the first part does provide you some enough insight for you to be like, yes, this is gonna totally turn into a meta commentary story. Even then, like, you're playing the first part and you're already expecting it, and like, I don't think the first part by itself has that much of a value. I think like the first parts, like what it's worth is totally based on like what happens next. Like the first part is long and I don't think it has any intrinsic value. Like it has some cool scenes, but overall I think it's pretty boring.
I disagree. I think the first part is good, but
But like, were you gripped by the story? Like,
well, the thing is like, I like the beginning part because it sets up everything you need to know. Like, as in, like, the beginning part sets up the fact that, like, Miyuki and Aoi are friends. Like, it actually builds enough friendship between them that you're like, oh, this is a well-earned friendship. Like, in the beginning, they don't like each other. Like, Miyuki's, like, outwardly super fucking mean to Aoi. And then then Aoi is just really fucking weird, and then they actually become friends, and I think like all these parts are really well built up, like, you know, the cat, like the cat store scene, cat store scene, and then like them eating on the rooftop scene, or like them taking a picture together, like all these are great to build up the fact that like, oh, you know, like this is gonna get real fucked once one of them is gonna have sex with each other. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I forget how quick the scene where Aoi just calls God, is that right in the beginning, or is that like halfway into this?
I think it's
halfway into
I think
that
it's the
first
main
part.
character that's calling God.
I think it's like an hour. I think it's like an
Or
hour or
yes,
two
an hour
in.
or two in. It's
Yeah.
when you basically ask Aoi not to get cucked. That's the scene that Horse Cannon is referring to, yes?
Yeah. Yes, where Aoi reset calls God so you can't get cucked. And I remember,
Yeah.
because I think I was looking of my reactions to it. I gotta remember what exactly my reactions were. Go
Okay,
on.
so let's talk about that scene. What did you think about that scene? Like, what did you guys all chose immediately to not get cucked?
I don't actually remember, but I do remember that was very funny. I just like, do you want to get cucked? And I'm like, what? It's funny, the dialogue.
I guess so. It is a funny dialogue point.
I also like fucking Miyuki. Miyuki is two different characters. She's one character in the sprite state. She's another whole different character in the CGs. Like, I don't know what happened with the art direction during the development of You and Me and Her, but the sprite to CG relationship with the character design is just all fucked up. I swear to God. Like, Miyuki gets 5 years younger when she goes from sprite to CG. And like for some reason, like her face gets 5 years younger, but her boobs get like 2 sizes bigger. Just like, what? Like, who's keeping this VN? Who's keeping the art direction of this VN together?
I never thought about that, but
don't
that's
know.
actually a really funny thing you noted.
My small rant with You and Me and Her.
About the art style. Oh, but I do think the art style is really pretty, though.
Yes. I agree. It's just that it's so incoherent. That's all.
I guess her face does get kind of warped in some of the later CGs I can think about.
When I got to the part where Aoi called God, I messaged you, my brain is broken. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I think once you first play that part, it's like super jarring, and you're like, "What the fuck do you mean by not getting cucked? Like, what does that even entail or not entail?" I think it's really shocking.
Yeah, because can we talk about the bad ending there? Because there is a bad ending you can get in this first
Yes.
section.
Okay, let's talk about the first bad ending. Did everybody else did the bad ending or no?
Oh no, choices in VNs. God damn, I don't actually remember.
It's a very
It's
easy
a very
bad
easy bad
ending. I think
ending.
it's the easiest.
Horsecam, do you want to go for it to explain what the bad ending is?
Essentially is you get cucked. That's basically the idea.
So,
Wait,
yeah.
describe it to me. Who do you get cooked by?
So the exact thing that happens is, so Des, you know how when you get to the choice of do you want to get cucked or not? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
basically,
Aoi's
Yes.
on the rooftop, right? The sky is all fucked up.
and she says, "I will reprogram this world so you don't get cucked." And if you say,
Mm-hmm.
"I don't care," like as in saying like I want to get cucked, the game, you basically go straight into like. Basically, Aoi says, "Why are you choosing that? Like, that's gonna lead to a bad end. Like, that wouldn't make any of you happy." And then it just basically, the scene that's very specific is like, you know, like they walk into by the river by the nighttime, and they're talking, and Miyuki learns that Shinichi told Aoi about the whole kissing thing, and Miyuki, like, you know how in the original story, Miyuki gets distracted because she sees a cat, like a box cat, and then, but instead in this world, she never sees the box, like it just didn't exist. So she just keeps going, and she tells, like Shinichi that like, you're a fucking coward, and like, I can't believe, like, I even like wanted to get with you, like you will never like me. And basically in the end, it's just Shinichi sitting alone in his house watching television, and Miyuki is an actress now.
Ah!
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Miyuki
God,
is an
yeah.
actress now, and he's
Oh,
he's
yeah,
like, oh, sad.
Because it also didn't it
So-
also say that Miyuki's also at her happiest, but she feels really lonely. Like she's happy, but she's very lonely.
Yes, yeah. It says like Miyu have never dated anybody, and like even when she's working, and you know, like that's just really sad. And she's just like she's never going to be happy, and that's what they. And
Because-
yeah,
You
exactly.
stopped Ellie
Fun
from
stuff.
helping you not get cucked. It's your fault.
So yeah, but all of us chose to not get cucked, so we didn't, and we successfully arrived at the end of Miyuki's route. So. Unfortunately, we can't talk about sex scenes, so we'll leave all the hilarious dialogue in Miyuki's sex scene into
the
the
end.
sex
Yes.
portion of the episode.
It just goes back to the title screen once she hit that ending, right?
Yep, you just get back to the title screen, and I think,
it's Twilight, actually, now I think about it. Not Night.
yeah, the Twilight, the color direction in this game is fucking insane. Like, so pretty.
Yeah, all the art is really good.
Yeah, and UI. The UI slick as fuck. One of the best UIs I have seen. And the scene transition rivals rivals Fata Morgana's scene transition.
Wait, what's
like-
the scene transition again?
The you and me and her, like the Japanese words sliding into each other, like, you know what I'm talking about?
I actually don't remember. Okay, for context,
Okay.
we've read this VN like
Yeah,
5 months
I
ago.
read this back in July.
Oh my god, we
I
did.
read this back in July.
Yes,
This is
yes.
February.
Yeah, we did. We read this all in July and August, and then gushed so much about it, and been planning this episode forever.
Yeah, I promise we'll have some things to discuss. It's just that most of it is in
It's in the
the
sex.
18 plus part
Yes.
because
That's where
again,
most of
like
the
the uncensored
sorry.
version is really good because of the sex scene. So we gotta get there to have some meaningful discussion on this.
I
VN.
mean, should we just? I mean, we're gonna talk about part 2, like the Aoi's route. Should we just start going talk about sex? I feel like there's no way
this
you could
first
talk.
scene is easy to cut out.
I don't think there's that many people listening to us who would be like, oh no, I
Just
can't listen to
just
sex
skip
in
this
my
next
podcast.
section, okay? You don't want to hear about sex with the probably my least favorite sex scene in the entire novel.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, so are we gonna start talking
Yeah.
about it?
Yes,
now?
we have.
Is that
I
what
feel
we're
like
doing now?
we should just talk about it now because it would be really counterproductive to not talk about sex at all in Aoi's route because Aoi's route is a lot about sex.
Okay, let's go then.
So since we are gonna talk about, let's retroactively go back to talk about Miyuki's your first sex scene with Miyuki on your birthday.
Yeah, but I know
so-
you have a lot of thoughts. You can start because I know your thoughts are good thoughts.
Okay,
Like the
I'm
whole
ready.
thing about how it's the perfect scene in always in contrast with Miyuki's, which is just one comes first and then the other one does.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how hilariously funny Miyuki's sex scene is because so like it's really clear that like the main dude Shinji has no idea how to have sex. I mean, it makes sense because this is the first time. And there's this whole chunk where he basically have sex with Miyuki and then like during the first sex scene and then he totally gets in and over himself, comes, and then Miyuki's like, wait, like I haven't came like what is going like you can't just leave me hanging here. Like that scene is just really funny to me. And
Yeah.
also like there's hilarious there's a lot of translation differences that I would have made if I was the person who was translating this. I am happy that Molly Lee, the person who translated Yumi and Her, exists, but I think all of Miyuki's sex scene translations are bad. Like they did a poor job explaining how Miyuki talks during sex scenes.
Yeah, it's really comes off as like your generic porn dialogue, which is just so exaggerated. It's so funny. She's just like,
Yeah, like it's just very like wow, fuck my brains out type horrible dialogue, which is not really true to how Miyuki talks. I think like you could analyze Miyuki's porn dialogue as her like quote unquote character spiraling, like, you know, not development, the opposite of development, I guess. So For example, like in the beginning, for example, I have the screenshot of this, which is, quote unquote, I love the feeling of your cock inside of me. I'm on cloud 9, which is a pretty funny, hilarious dialogue. But the actual thing that she says is, I love the feeling to connect it to you. Like, as in, like, instead of saying, like, I love having your cock inside of me, because, like, Miyuki's not that kind of girl. She doesn't never use, like, o-ching-ching, or, like, or like owanko in the very beginning, at least, like, which
Well,
are...
she could also just be different when she's doing the thing, you know.
Well, but like that's not how the Japanese dialogue is. That's just what I mean. Like in the beginning, she doesn't say any of these things. She doesn't say those overtly like hentai like things to say.
Oh,
like,
so she does
like,
on the later part.
Yes, she says it in the part when you break, like her brain starts breaking, like part, like, you know, in the latter part of the game.
Whenever I like see a sex scene, it's just terribly written. I just assume that all Japanese VN sex scenes are just awfully written to begin with.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's awfully written. I just think like it's the like the tone is incorrect. Like that's like her, like Miyuki having sex for the first time is not like, oh wow, come all over me vibe. It's more like, ooh, like it's my first sex scene, I'm connected to you, like, you know, like it's like more wholesome, if that makes any sense. Like it's kind of awkward and kind of wholesome. It's the kind of the point of the sex scene, of the first sex scene, at least. Instead of saying things like, oh, your cock, she says like your thing, or like your shaft. Like it would be a better way of like translating if I was the person translating. I wouldn't even like fucking refer it to the part. But anyway, so like it's like a weird porn culture-y like kind of diluting the fact that like it's different translation. In my long commentary of the porn vibes of You and Me and Her, I wrote, wear a fucking condom.
well, it is.
Well, they're teenagers. They don't know any better.
So I actually wrote this thing as one of my notes. I wrote, I think somebody told me about the conspiracy, how the whole coming inside of girl fetish thing, the whole cream pie thing, is pushed by the Japanese government. So, you know, the Japanese government want people to get super, like, turned on by this, like, kink. So, like, people actually want to have sex with other people so they can make babies for Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't that happen in just, like, all porn?
Like, in America?
Of any culture?
Yeah. But like, I just thought it was funny that somebody mentioned to me, he was like, yes, there's a deep like conspiracy of that. Which I don't know if it's true.
The cream pie conspiracy. The whispers over
Japanese government.
Alright, time to bring this to 4chan's paranormal board. I need to know what they think about this.
There's another quote from Miyuki's first sex scene that I also hate. Like, it's her saying, oh, it's so intense, it feels like you're reshaping my pussy with your cock, which is not what she fucking says. The actual Japanese translation I would have said was, my inside is going to remember the shape of Shinichi, which is still, like, really fucking weird, but, like,
but it's better.
Like, do you hear, like, do you see, like, if you put those two lines in front of you, like, you could see the difference, right? Like, that's two very, very different vibes of, like, speaking. Just, like, like, I don't know. I just think, like, I think it's really important to have, like, narratively separate Miyuki's sex scene with Aoi's sex scene. So,
yeah. We'll get
like,
to Aoi.
Well, we're in Aoi now.
Well, we'll get there. So yes, also like, basically, but yeah. So that's the end of Miyuki's sex scene for first sex scene.
Would you say the rest of the translation is like fine for the most part, besides the sex scenes?
Yes, I think the game translation is good and is funny, because the thing is like, I actually have this humongous portion of my analysis on Yumi and Her about translation of, for example, specifically for words like cuck, for the words like normie, or like for the words of like that kind of specific.
Yeah, whenever I like saw those words, I was like taken out a bit just because of me like picturing how always online the translator must have been and how current those terms are, even though they are the best translation choices.
Yeah, which is kind of insane to think about because I totally agree with that.
Like when the dude was saying, "My brother has turned into a femboy," I'm just like reeling back, even though that is the best translation
it's
choice.
Very clear. Like I do agree. Yes, I do agree. Like the thing is like You and Me and Her is extremely about online culture. Like the original terms for cucking in this scenario, in the Japanese translation, NTR, which is netorare.
Yeah, it is like very, very into just like Japanese otaku culture, which I think translates well into just be using like weeaboo
exactly. And it's like
terms.
A lot about incel-y culture, like that specific type of like yes, like women are fuck toys. I don't know. It's not like that, but like it's like especially translated into like the whole concept of and of course we're colloquially using the word cuck, not the actual like the word of cuck, because you know if Shinichi was truly getting cucked, he would get pleasure out of it and not be mad. So just saying, that's not how the actual word works. But I think I think the translator did a good enough job to basically translate the vibe of all the words, like using words like femboy, like all the like the very online-y culture things. But like the Miyuki sex scenes are really, really egregiously bad. Like I think like because I think the sex is the most important, one of the most important parts of You, Me, and Her. In translating them well enough makes you understand the characters better. Like so Miyuki likes having sex with the main character, but like not in like the sex craze, feel your cum through my brain, shot through my eye hole, like type of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she likes it because she likes the main character. But like, and it's different from like Aoi, who like goes from like, oh yes, let's go from vagina sex and anal sex in the same day, like type of vibe. Like, you know, it's like a very different type of sex scene. And to basically like blanketly translate them the exact same vibe is wrong. It's just narratively wrong. So yeah, that's my thoughts about the translation. Yes, if that gives you an idea.
Okay.
They're fine. It's not the best. I like it. It's also really jarring if you hear something and then the thing you're reading is different. That's what I mean.
Yeah, for you who understands what they're saying, I bet it is. Yeah.
And I thought, because most of the time when I see like sex scene dialogue, I mostly just tune it out and go, oh, this is just porn dialogue.
Imagine if this game had a dub.
Oh god, no.
I mean,
I was gonna say, I do think
how would you even dub a sex
I do say
scene?
the voice acting for the sex scenes incredibly wild. Like the voice actors are doing such a good job. Like they're screaming into the microphone. Like I am impressed. Like they did not hold back.
Yeah,
they are doing it on set.
Like, yeah, that'd be the most awkward studio session, is to have sex, quote unquote, in a studio with everything in it.
I'm impressed. But yes. So let's talk about, is there anything else I want to talk about before we move on to fully talk about Aoi's route?
No, let's go.
I guess
Aoi.
I'd like to say that, anyone else think the sex scenes were just really unappealingly drawn?
For the most part, they're not really great.
I mean, I think the sex scenes...
Like, the nipples look awful.
Okay.
That's such a specific thought.
Okay, that's not what I thought. I just thought they had weird proportions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that comes back to what I was saying in the start. The people in the CG are not the people in the sprites. I guess Aoi does look similar, but Miyuki doesn't. She just doesn't.
I do have one thing before we move on, and that's one of my favorite lines in this first section, is just fucking one of the characters just shouting eroticism.
Oh yes, eroticism! One of the funniest chunks that happens. Also, funny story, that part even gets butchered in the censored version, because instead of shouting eroticism, he shouts lewd, which is not as funny.
Worse. It is worse.
I don't know, I think eroticism is so funny because he says it with such a like conviction. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, lewd is just I don't know, lewd is a word.
Why couldn't you say it in the What is the, like, censorship difference between saying eroticism and lewd?
I don't know. It's
Lewd actually, I think, is worse meaning-wise than eroticism.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's stupid
I don't
and
know.
bad.
It's just fucking
Yeah,
dumb.
exactly. Okay, so Aoi's route. So you could basically do Miyuki's route over and over and over again until you want to go to Aoi's route. And
I was actually a bit confused. I think I did Miyuki's route like 3 times in a row because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, I think you had to restart the game because I know, like, I know that I didn't do Aoi's route until you had to hit, because you have to hit new game to do Aoi's route.
Oh, is this not the part where if you close the game you get a new message?
no,
Or is that later?
that's later.
That's after Aoi's.
Okay, remind me when we get there. So Aoi's route. I found it more interesting, to be honest, because we are finally actually tackling the mystery of what is Aoi, what is she doing. I found it really interesting. And I think the SEGGS are also much more interesting with much higher, like they have stakes. Like this is what we mean by SEGGS have plot. They have stakes. The things that are happening have an effect on the plot. It's just like this. What is Aoi doing? Why is she going out with the other dude's brother? Like, what is going on?
Well, all of that's like in the final section of
is it?
route.
God
Like,
fucking damn it!
Yeah,
Well,
because I mean, the beginning chunks of Aoi's route is just like, first she spends a lot of time being like, hey Aoi, like, what about me? And then, like, you know, like, they're still doing, like, regular friend shit until one day, like, I think, like, Aoi disappears, and then Shinji doesn't go look for her, and, like, there's so much shit happening throughout the middle, and then the day when, Aoi, like, Aoi disappears, and then Shinji goes find her on the top of the roof. I think it's during the day where, originally speaking, like, both Miyuki and him are supposed to go find Aoi, but this time, like Miyuki just went home, and then you have to choose not give up like 4 times to go find her, and you find her on the roof, and Aoi's like, I'm gonna die, basically, like, and you're like, you know, like, I need zappies. And then that's when you have the first sex scene with Aoi. This is before you even start dating her. Like, this is, you have the zappy sex with her on the rooftop.
and this is the one that you describe as being like the perfect, like, checklist.
The antithesis. Yes,
Yeah.
it's a perfect foil for Miyuki's sex scene. Because Aoi's in charge. Like, Aoi, like, teases the shit out of this dude's nipples. And then, like, it's true. It's really funny because, just for everybody's information, we all played this game separately and then got together to talk about the sex scenes. But I actually played this game another time with a really good friend of mine. We literally sat on her couch. And played all of Yumi and Her on a gigantic projector in her living room, in her apartment. And that's not even the funniest part. So her boyfriend is a Patreon artist who draws, like, hentai art for money. Like, he's like a 3D design student, but he draws, like, hentai for money on or just, like, any like NSFW art. And he also draws regular art, of course, but, like, on Patreon. And literally, and his, like, her other 2 roommates, we would literally, it would be like 2:00 in the morning, and would just be watching sex scenes projected on the projector, and us being like, wow, what the fuck is happening?
With audio out loud, like, without wearing any headphones.
We weren't. Well, because this was a student apartment, so, like, everybody in there felt comfortable. Like, yes, we blasted the sound. Like, we didn't blast it, but, like, you know, like, we still played the sound on the speaker because we were watching it on projector, and they lived on the first floor.
I'm just imagining, like, a fucking, like, that meme of just the Wojak trying to sleep, but they're just, like, very muffled, like, Yumi and Her music with moaning.
Yes, but
Imagine waking up to Aoi coming.
It's funny because my friend says I am literally the most absurd, like, asexual person who is the most entertained by sex ever, like, person that that she has ever met, because she's just like, I've never met somebody who's such like ridiculously sex positive and like wants to talk about sex for a person who does not want to have sex at all. And it's like, yes, I did sit in an apartment. We just played it for like 4 days where we just sat there and watched like humongous sex, like Miyuki's vagina on screen while we sat and like ate chips and like read You and Her.
Like, I meant like someone who doesn't know that's happening walks into the room, sees that you're just staring at the sex scenes while eating like some Cheetos or just
it's
drinking,
literally
some
like
tea.
it's so funny because her roommate I'm just gonna call him A, who's gay, who like literally came home after like doing a lab at school and then walked in and was like, oh, are you guys playing You, Me, and Her? Had the sex scene happen yet? And then we were like, no. And then he like grabbed a chair and sat in the island and like started warming up his dinner to watch the rest of the game.
What an experience.
It's so funny. Like literally one of the other girl who lived in the apartment fell asleep while we were watching. Like it was just like, it was incredibly funny. But anyway, you should...
Just imagining like... One day I walk into the apartment and just see on the projector just Euphoria at just this massive area of projecting.
Yeah, it's like a really
like
big
4
projector. It's
people
very
just
nice.
asleep with one person awake watching it, trying to get through it.
Yeah, it's a time. I hope you can understand how hilarious that is. But...
It is.
Okay, but anyway, that's my point. Like, I'm extremely comfortable about like watching weird ass sex scene with a bunch of people. So if that gives you an idea how this happened to be and why I love this game so much. But yes, so I want to talk about how funny that sex scene is with Aoi, because one of the best lines Aoi says in the first sex scene that she has with Shinichi is like, he's like, oh, like, have you ever done this before? And then she just basically says, visual novel heroines are usually virgins.
Yeah, she just keeps... I love Aoi because she just keeps bashing the genre with jokes like this.
I saw a Horsecam tip, like Horsecam's thing that he posted, which is that if you had sex with Miyuki the second time in her route, basically like if you did her route over and over again, she would actually says, now you will fuck me again. Like, as in like, instead of saying like pretend like saying that this is her first route, she actually says like, oh, we're having sex again.
Yeah. No, you've reminded me. One of the things that I really appreciate about You and Me and Her is the fact that when you're pressing control for the text to go faster, it automatically stops for you whenever you get to a new line of dialogue, which was really helpful, unlike the 3 times that I had to go through Miyuki's route again.
Well, that's like how most visual novels do, like choices.
Really?
So
Okay.
they often gray out.
That's enough.
Yeah, that's how they often
visual
gray out
novels.
the text that you've already read, and they have an ability to skip read text. That's specifically what that option is called. Like skipped unread text.
Okay.
Not just skipped read text. Yeah.
I've read less visual novels than the other guy.
Yeah, you read Umineko, which has like 0 choices.
Yeah, I read Umineko, Higurashi, and I guess Rose Dice. Oh no, I read Fata Morgana and Requiem. I guess I've read more than the other dude.
Yeah, but then the whole time you're playing Fata Morgana, you're whining about how you didn't want to make choices. So, you know, like,
Yeah, you don't like choices in visual novels, Des. You even whined about it
I'm
here.
sorry.
I remember you whining about choices.
Okay, I realized
like that's
this
the
is
whole
like.
point of visual
I
novel.
realized this is like crying about. Like, I realize how stupid it is crying about choices when I'm reading a
I
visual
can't
novel.
even
But,
read your...
you know,
Des, I can't even read your reactions anymore because you locked me out of that channel.
I'm pretty sure. Don't you do it in the pussy and do it in the ass in her fucking scene? I don't
Oh yeah, the
remember.
rooftop scene, yeah.
The rooftop scene goes wild. So she gains 4 CGs and she's like, okay, I'm gonna live now. And then so that's when you start dating Aoi. And then so when Miyuki finds out about the whole rooftops sex scene, she slaps like Shinichi and then leaves school. And then Shinichi's like, why did she slap me? And why is she mad? Like, I just only had sex with her on the rooftop, you know, no big
Well,
deal.
she didn't leave Miyuki. They did agree to
Yes.
go batting.
Yeah, true. He did. He did leave her at the baseball batting cage, even though she was supposed to like go meet her there. So, when Miyuki shows back up at noon, she seems in high spirit and basically is like, "Oh, I brought you guys lunch. Let's hang out. We're best friends. I will support your relationship, and you're doing great." And then
Miyuki's coping so hard.
Basically, yeah, Miyuki's definitely high on copium right now. And so basically they go and so they do these cute things where they go like to the cat shop and then they hang out together, and then but meanwhile Miyuki's like slowly drip feeding Shinji, the main character. It's like, "Hey, like I heard all these rumors about like Aoi sleeping around, or like Aoi might be with some other guy, like, you know, like the person who works here says that she came here with some other person."
Yeah. And then the reader is, at least I was like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to like be suspicious of Aoi for these rumors or be suspicious of Miyuki that she may be coming up with these rumors.
Yeah, because it's sus. It's sus on all sides, and you're just like kind of concerned and don't really know what's happening.
Character that was talked about in the previous route is now important here, and that's Akebono's brother, right?
Yeah, Akebono's brother. Yep. I know we haven't really talked about Akebono's brother. I basically tried to ignore Akebono, well, even though I think Horse... Do you really like Horse? You really like Akebono, right? Or
I thought he was
Kirby who
alright.
really
I
liked
think he was basically...
I like him.
He's like the protagonist's best friend character, but in the way that's like, oh, he's just a guy trying to have fun, and not like the annoying, oh, he's gonna get someone hurt.
No, but that's Akebono,
Best
not his
friend
brother.
Yeah.
archetype.
Yeah, I'd say it's like one of the better characters of that archetype.
Yeah, because most best friend archetypes are either
He's
like
a fun lad.
are just massive pedophiles or perverts or just massive assholes. Like the best friend character in School Days, like I believe he raped someone in that story.
What?
I mean, I'm pretty sure the main character in School Days raped somebody in the story, so you know.
Oh my God,
You know.
School Days.
With School Days, he's just what.
We'll talk about School Days. I'm pretty sure both Horsecam and I referred to School Days while we were reading You and Me and Her. Like, I think it's really fascinating because You and Me and Her really cuts deep in the way of like talking about like classic like dating sims and like that kind of character. So like it actually makes sense that like Akebono basically goes from like all the like the iterations of that kind of like character. Basically, like 1 week he's talking about how he wants to like he wants to have sex with some random girl's panties, and then next week he's talking about how his brother's turned into a femboy, and then the next week he's talking about how maybe he wants to get with his femboy brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
He's someone
It's
that I enjoy every one of his scenes because like a lot of them doesn't come off as like creepy or weird. They mostly come off as like, dude, I think you're a little too excited about something that's stupid.
No, but it's good. Like when
You're
he,
just stupid.
He's just like a silly dude. I don't feel like uncomfortable with him.
yeah, when he,
yeah,
Why
he's
can't I date him? Why isn't he around?
Yeah, where's his
fuck?
CG?
I like that. I like that. Like
I wanna have that-
when he starts Loki, when he starts finding out that he may have a crush on his brother, it's just like it isn't portrayed as him being like. I'm actually not sure where I want to go with this. I guess I just want to say
like him being like transphobic or being like, ew, my brother's a fanboy.
yeah, like he's like that at the start, but then he kind of like realizes like, okay, this is kind of stupid. Why am I being homophobic right now?
yeah, it's a fascinating character choice, and I also think like in Aoi's route is where he really shines and becomes a full character where he like supports Shinji throughout the whole story and basically tells him to like man the fuck up and also try to be supportive, because like meanwhile like Miyuki is doing 4D chess right there. Like Akebono is like genuinely trying to be helpful and wanting like good things for like Shinji.
Yes.
So okay, so now Shinji and Aoi's dating, and while Miyuki's whispering tiny little things into his ears, like Aoi's conditions are getting worse. Like basically, like it seems that she's like getting sick, and they originally were gonna go to the play together with like to see Miyuki's play, but she is so sick that she just stays home.
Yeah, I want to say something about Aoi, about her illness, which is that just like the first Aoi sex scene is basically meant to be like the perfect sex scene where they both come at the same time, and there's like they go through the whole checklist of everything you can do with a body. It's just Miyuki's character, not Miyuki, Aoi's character is also like that. She's just her character feels like she's the writer was trying to make her into like also run through all of this checklist of things that the average Kumar will enjoy, because it's kind of like she has the submissive personality that Japanese audiences like, but she also has the dominant personality that the Western audiences like the most. Like there's like multiple examples of that, like
Yeah, I
media.
do think so.
And then her illness is also like I don't understand why, but it's just for some reason characters with
The sick girl type.
Yeah. Like Rei is injured. Like you go through all. There are so many examples of submissive and injured girls that are like the most popular characters in their respective shows.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, all mecha anime have like someone on a wheelchair, for example.
Okay,
What?
why do we want to fuck the ill?
I don't know.
Why is that a
I
thing?
just,
I don't know.
Power.
well, maybe. I think it has a
sympathy?
lot to do with like, ooh, I get to take care of them type vibe. I do agree. Like,
Oh, that's cute.
I guess, yeah, it's just like, I want them to be happy.
Oh,
Also
but
fuck
like,
them.
okay, I also wanted to say, because there's a lot of like parallels between Miyuki and Aoi's sex scene that I didn't even get to, because like, for example, like I'm pretty sure like in Miyuki's sex scene, like she doesn't come while she's like it's like all that shit, but like Aoi has this whole deal where like basically the main, like there's like orgasm denial in their sex scene, like that sex scene is so much more complex like conceptually speaking than like Miyuki's one. Like there's orgasm denial, like she teases like I'm pretty sure like he teases the shit out of her and it's like, oh yes, we came together, like that kind of stuff. It was like pretty wild. It's just genuinely a very fascinatingly different, and also because like Aoi says a lot of things like owanko, or like, if you know what I'm talking about, like, or like, oh, like your cock and shit like that. And there's even a part where he says like, oh, you're like you're like ready to go for a second like time. Like I guess like the protagonist is like penises are just too OP or something, like, you know, like as in, like it's just like a really funny piece of dialogue that she just says during sex scene, and you're just like, what the fuck?
yeah. That's just another thing for Aoi's character. She's also an otaku, which yes, another point for the checklist.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. It's very weird and funny in that sign. But yeah, so sick time. What do you guys choose if you were to like, did you decide to stay at home, like, or stay around to see what's wrong with Aoi, or did you decide to go to the
I went.
the play or immediately?
I'm pretty sure at this point I was focusing on Aoi because the main character was pretty much in a relationship with Aoi, so I was like, I'm gonna choose all the choices that would benefit Aoi.
I don't actually remember what they showed at
interesting.
first.
Also, I want to say something real quick. I don't know if we should put this in the episode, but the Aoi scene on the rooftop is the scene of one of the best images I've seen in my life. Of when Kirby played it, and Kirby's boyfriend took a picture of them playing it. And
I think we could talk about that, yeah.
the best picture.
I mean, we might not have, we can't show the
No,
Yeah,
not
it's
that.
just
We could just talk
Kirby's
about-
back
It's
and
one
then
of
a
the best,
monitor, and then it's just Aoi on the rooftop, and it's the funniest shit.
Yeah, it's one of the best shit I've ever seen.
It's just so immaculately framed. I don't know how it is just so perfect.
It's funny because Kirby's boyfriend keep messaging me throughout You and Me and Her and being like, "Oh, this is your fault, Mushroom. Like, why did you?"
No, like,
Shout out to
no, like
Why did you-
I was just minding my own business, and then Kirby's boyfriend just sends me this image with the text, "Thanks, Yensid," and I just laugh my fucking ass off.
Yeah, I was at work when I got this. I was laughing my ass off at work, and I was having a fun day. I was like, oh man, I'm having a great day.
Yeah.
It's the perfect image. Anyways, let's move on.
Anyway, so the point is that if you chose to stay around, you would have there's like a slight difference, but like, so the bad ending of this situation, I don't know if I got it, but if Shinji caught like Aoi and Akebono-kun's brother in bed together, because if you just went ahead and then showed up and found them earlier, you would have caught them in bed together, and it would be like Akebono-kun's brother's pants are down, and and Aoi's literally like, I think like holding his cock, like literally it's that scene where like all three of these people walked in. Like, could you imagine? So all of something, they just walk into the scene, and then and Shinji would like black out, and when he wakes up he would realize his hands are covered in blood and he's at home, and then Akebono tells him that it's fine, don't worry about it, like you beat you beat my brother into a pulp, and then Aoi's gone now, and that's the bad end. Like, or you basically, I think you just go into Miyuki's ending, like as in like Miyuki just comforts you, and then you feel better. But I actually
So what? Yeah. No. Keep going.
I actually really like this bad end because I think it actually shows a lot of Shinji's character, like that, like Shinji's not just a person you're controlling. He's also like kind of like a horrible like not a horrible person, but like really, really fucked up in the way of like how like he's really possessive and like really entitled, and like once he thinks that like Aoi's like might be sleeping with other people, he just like gets so like disgusted and then like just berates her in that way. It's like then like also gets so like uncontrollably mad, he just like beats the shit out of somebody and then like blacks out, like, you know,
barges in, beats the shit out of the other guy, refuses to evaporate.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good scene. But if you did it the other way, where you don't lead into the bad end and you want to continue Aoi's route, instead of like catching them red-handed, you go to the apartment, they're not there, you find an unused condom, and then you find the hairpin that you gave Aoi.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So this, which leads on to one of the most horrific birthday parties there has ever been.
Yeah, my favorite scene.
So yeah. So let's talk about the birthday party scene. It's basically, this is Miyuki's setup for Aoi, basically to confront her about this whole scenario, and it's just Shinji ganging up on Aoi and being like taunting her with like the hairpin, and then showing her footage of like her kissing the brother at the like on television, and it's fucked up. What do you guys think about the birthday scene?
It was.
I think it's a good setup to a lot of things. It's like a big like haha moment.
A setup. It's
like
a payoff.
Haha, fuck you. I got you. Well,
I think it was cool. I liked it, but I especially like what comes after.
Oh, you like the big cucking scene?
Well, we'll get there. Yes,
it's so interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really like the birthday scene because both times I played it, I played this with Ambi as well, actually. So I try to convince every single person around my life to fucking play this game because I got so into replaying it. But when Ambi and I were playing this game, Ambi felt so awful during the birthday scene because like, while you might not even feel that attached to character, it's really like fucked up to like corner somebody like this and then being super, super mean about it and like reveling in their like sadness and like humiliation. Like, it's just an awful part to read, and like they're all just being so conniving and vindictive and it's just not good. It's like, it's great. It's like a super great scene, and this is the part where it leads on to the famous threesome. Unfortunately, not the three people you wanted. Like, Miyuki leaves and everybody else leaves, and Shinji begs Aoi to be like, please explain to me why this is happening. And Aoi says, I am a girl made by God to have sex with as many people as possible because I'm a visual novel protagonist. Like, I'm a visual novel heroine, and like, you play the routes of Miyuki and you play the routes of Aoi. Aoi is playing the game for God, like, to basically, she finished playing like your route, like the Shinji route, and then she moves on to Akebono-kun's brother's route. Like, you know, that's just how it is. And she needs to collect CGs to live, or she just doesn't get any energy.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but what I got from this scene is that Aoi is being played by some other player, and we are playing Shinichi. Is that it?
No.
Yes.
Or are we not a canonical player, and we are actually just
Like, God in this scenario is like, basically, Aoi is the main heroine character for every VN. Like, as in, like, she's just like, she's like,
she's the Furudo Erika of.
I thought that God was
I don't
supposed to
get
be
it.
the writer and not the player.
like, she's the embodiment of all the heroines. So, like, she is, let's think of other, like, she is the Fate Stay Night Girl. Like, you know, like I don't know how to
Stay Night
how to
Girl?
explain-
There's like 3 of them.
What? Where are you going?
No, but like, no, but what I'm trying to say is like, it's the exact wording is really weird, but like, she is the girl in every VN you get to have sex with, like, as in like that's why she had sex with multiple people. Like, she's not she could be not Aoi. Like, she in the other game, she's just another girl. Like, you know, that's just what it means, and that's why like, she gets to have like lots of sex with other people, and like, and then she thrives on CGs, and like, once she doesn't have CGs, there's no reason for her to exist anymore.
Yep. So that's why she's getting it on with the other dude, and then the main character is like, okay, I get you. You can do it with the other dude, and that she does in their fucking house.
Yes, that scene mortifying. So basically, Shinji calls Akebono-kun's brother. I don't remember what his name is. I'm like literally blanking.
Doesn't matter.
And it's hard.
Oh, no, it's the other. Yeah, it's Haru or something. Basically, he calls his brother over and then says, "You need to have sex with my girlfriend in my room." And then he's just sitting in the living room in the dark, hearing sex happen on top of him. And then he walks upstairs and sees sex. And then he's like, wow, this is fucked up, but like, my dick is out now. and then they lock eyes with she's like, Aoi lock eyes with Shinji, and she's like, oh, Shinji's watching me, and like, blah blah blah.
Yeah, always like,
wow,
I'm sorry, I gotta be doing this. Then Shinichi's like, it's fine, and cries, but also comes.
Cries and comes.
Yeah.
So yes, so that whole scene happens, and Shinichi's like, I can't take it no more. I can't keep watching. He barges in and joins the sex, and the sex continues.
And all of this is happening as fucking Miyuki is below the bed. It, like, the whole thing is just, oh my god damn. Just keeps getting worse.
And the sex scene is long. Like, you know, they go through different positions.
It's like 10 minutes. It's like
5 to 10 minutes. It's like at a certain point you're like, could this scene stop? Like, when is it ending? And then they keep changing positions, and he's like, and he like, I'm pretty sure there's a scene where Shinichi like eats her out after like the other guy comes in her, like, and so like he just goes slurp slurp, and you're just literally like, when the fuck is this gonna end? And then after like all these things happen, Akebono-kun's brother runs away and leaves, I guess, and then Aoi lies on the bed, and she's like completely kind of passed out. And then she's like, I guess these are the hard decisions I have to make so I can keep her as my girlfriend. Like, I'm glad I love you or something. And then suddenly, like Miyuki crawls out from under his bed, and it's like, I need to get something. And she leaves the room, and then she's just like, wait, did I just see what I saw? Like, what the fuck was that? Like, and then he's like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like hallucinating. Maybe there's nobody.
And basically when the song from School Days starts playing.
Yes,
essentially that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, like nice boat starts happening, and Miyuki comes back. And then Miyuki comes back with a with a bouquet of flowers, a bouquet of lilies, and then she like opens it up, and she just kind of shakes it, and it just becomes a bloody baseball bat. Her face is completely bloodied, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so unfortunate. That little fur ball got in my way." And then you're like, "Ooh, that was a killing the cat moment right there." And she just completely annihilates Aoi and also breaks every single fucking limb in Shinichi's body. And yeah, that would be the end of that scene. And
that will be the end of this week's plot summary. We're gonna get in spoilers now if you haven't finished You and Me and Her.
Yay!
So yeah, basically, okay, so wait, so before we go on to the third part, I will come back to some hilarious dialogues in the Aoi sex scenes. One is the first dialogue is girls in visual novels are always versions. The sex scene between Aoi and the main character is basically a parallel to the sex scene that he has with Miyuki, where the whole nipple teasing, which is the person feels more in control, and also how they are talking about in this scene, where Aoi says, "Oh, you haven't come yet," and then Shinichi's like, "True," and then Aoi's like, "Why don't we fix that?" and says they even come together, which is such a cliche and like something that like, you know, like everybody likes to write in their fiction, like, because it doesn't really necessarily happen that way, but like it's like, oh, it's exactly what the otaku shitlords like, because you're like, oh, I'm coming with this girl. And then it's also just like, I also think it's really funny because her sex scene is basically like a commentary on Miyuki's sex scene, where you like, some people might think Miyuki's first sex scene to be really like, I don't know, plain and boring and vanilla, so like you get to have a super long sex scene with Aoi. And the thing is that in the censored version of this game, they can't actually censor out the sex scene. So they actually leave both of Aoi's sex scene in the game and take out all the Miyuki sex scene.
What?
Which I think is extremely... Yes, because...
Wait, like, fully uncensored sex scene?
No.
Or, like, it's just, like, all the noises?
No, so Aoi's first sex scene, the sex scene on the rooftop, and Aoi's sex scene with him, the three something, both happens in the censored version, but not as long, and they take out all of the parts that like show bits.
I guess we know who they chose at the
But
end.
like, yeah, but like I think it's really unfair to Miyuki because it makes it seem like I read it in somebody's comment section. They were like, "Oh, it shows how much the main character like Aoi," and I'm like, "No, that's not true. Like in the actual game, they have equal numbers of sex scenes, and that's why it's like fair." And I think it's super unfair that you take out all the other sex scenes, but you leave the one for Aoi.
True.
It's like
That's when Miyuki gets really mad.
Yeah,
She has no sex scenes.
how is anybody reading the censored version and choosing Miyuki if there's just like nothing with Miyuki?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so basically there's another line where Aoi says, "My mouth, my pussy, my ass are all created just for you," which is another very interesting line. I thought that was really
Nice.
good. But I also love there's a scene where Yisid cropped a picture and it's just Shinichi's hand holding Aoi's hand, and it just says, "Why is my hand so shiny?"
Yeah,
It's funny.
What?
that's
Oh yeah, that part.
That's one thing I actually don't like about the art style is that, but that happens super frequently, which is that anime art style sometimes makes the skin so shiny that everybody just looks like dolls. I fucking hate that.
They look like they're Vaselined up. But also another great dialogue that Yisid screenshotted, which is, "Happy birthday, Shinichi, my guy. You've taken another step towards true manhood." And it's like, "How old are you now? I forget." And Shinichi says, "Same as you, genius." And then Aoi says, "You are legally obligated to be at least 18. And then Shinichi says, "What do you mean legally obligated?"
Thank you, Chini.
Yeah, like this is
it's very
some
good.
high quality meta commentary humor.
It's funny, and it's funny when it comes up when it's like during sex scenes. It's funny when it comes up in regular scenes too.
It's like, is your cock glitched? Did they make you OP because you're the main character?
So good, just like A+ dialogue. But yes, so finally, let's come back. Like, let's get to part three of this fun episode.
The fucking hope you like reading, because you're gonna have to memorize a lot of this shit that Miyuki's gonna tell you.
So part 3, just Miyuki. So This is a part of the game where the game crashes and Miyuki says, "Hey, load my program. We're gonna start fucking shit up." So once you turn the game back on, the game's UI completely changes and it looks bootlegged as fuck. And if you click onto, like, even look at the menus, like, the menus are slightly different, and it has, like, all these, like, Sone Miyuki made this, and blah, blah. And it basically jump starts to the beginning of the game.
Okay, I actually hate the fucking... the message that pops up with Aoi being all glitched out when you close the game. Because...
Why do you hate it? It's so
I
good.
hate it, because... I was being called to dinner, and I was like, okay, that's enough playing for now. I'll close my game. Oh no, unskippable 5 minutes cutscene that I cannot replay. Fuck. Then my parents just got mad at me. Thank you and me and her.
Oh, I did not say. I don't know about that scene because I never closed the game at this point.
Yeah.
I didn't, because like when I got here, I didn't close the game until I finished.
That's crazy. There's actually a lot of fun dialogue changes. So when I was playing this with my friend on the couch, we closed the game a lot just to see the different dialogue that Aoi has. Because all the times you close this is different. But also, because Des is a fucking dum-dum and Kirby did not understand what Des was asking, the moment when Miyuki says, "Hey, could you, if you love me so much, could you say you love me?" And you can say, "I love you." She's like, "Could you say it again?" And then she says, and he just says, "I love you." And because Des is stupid, and Des thought the game ended.
No.
So,
I am not stupid. In my defense, Doki Doki is just like that. Doki Doki ends there. So I thought you and me and her was the same and it just ended
No,
there.
it doesn't.
Yes, it... What?
Doki Doki Literature Club then? What? Did you not finish Doki Doki Literature Club? Did you just get to the Just Monica section and just go, alright, guess the game's done?
The original version of Doki Doki ends with Monica on the metaverse on the fucking table. That's where it ends.
No. That's the final boss.
What?
That's literally the final
No,
puzzle. You're supposed to delete
No, you're
her.
fucking with me.
Oh my god!
Yes! No wonder you couldn't get past this section. You couldn't even figure out the simplest
What am
thing.
I even supposed to do with Monica?
This reminds me
You're
of the
supposed to
time
delete
that
her
I.
character file.
This reminds me of the time that I played this like indie horror game that it's just like you're the only person in an abandoned first-person shooter server. Then someone just comes in the server and says, "Please close the game." So I just closed the game and stopped playing.
Wow.
Just as a joke. But Des just actually
wait,
thought that was
Des. So after you got to the Monica section, did you do anything else, or did you just like, this is the end of the game? There's nothing else I can do?
Yeah, I restarted the game because
I'm
I
imagining
had
you
missed
got-
the purple-haired girl.
What? Wait.
I
So
had
you
missed
didn't.
that route.
Oh my god.
So
Okay.
I restarted the game to read that route after I got.
Wait,
Monica.
how did you restart the game? You can't restart the game unless you uninstall it and reinstall.
No, I think I did
I'm just
the
imagine-
thing about deleting Monica's character file.
Des, I'm just imagining you play like Metal Gear Solid 2, and then like GW tells you turn the game console off, so you just turn it off and just stop playing there.
Okay, so wait. So Des, you did delete Monica's save file.
I think
Yes?
so. Like, doesn't the game end when the music plays that goes like na 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 na, and it's just Monica singing?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I
Yeah.
finished the game. What are
your
you want to
reality?
do?
Yeah. The way that you phrased it was like, oh, I got to Monica sitting at the table. I didn't delete her character file. She's
No,
just
but
there.
the game ends
Instead
there.
of actually saying you got to the credits of
Okay,
the
no.
game.
What I mean,
That
Game
is,
ends
gets
after
deleted.
what
there.
I meant is that after you get to Monica, there's nothing else to do except finish the game. And in Totoro, there is like the whole second half of the game starts there. That's what I meant.
that's true. I do agree with Des.
Okay.
Des is,
I guess.
I mean, Des is stupid, but I don't think it's wrong for us to
Bro,
make fun of him that much
that's
because he
rude.
played you and me, and he played Doki Doki Literature Club as his first VN. So how could we be that mean to him?
But I thought he played Umineko.
No, that was my second.
Yeah, exactly. I have
Okay.
no respect.
But yeah, I got to that scene, and because I thought I was done, I just spent the next hour clicking. So going through the loop of say you love me again, then I say I love you, and then she goes, oh wow, say it again. I just spent a whole hour clicking there because I thought I was done, and that was funny.
Yeah, so basically,
You spent an
so-
hour?
Yes. So I started. Did you know how when you open the menu, Miyuki talks to you a bit? So like I didn't know the dialogue progressed, so I just spent a whole hour clicking, and after an hour I opened the menu, and suddenly we're just making out, and I'm like, whoa, what? Why is Miyuki making out with me?
Such fucking dumb. It's honestly upsetting. It's really funny because I'm pretty sure, like, I walked away during that chunk. I think I went to have like lunch or something, and I came back and I was reading the conversation that Kirby was having with Des, and I was like, Des, what the fuck are you doing? There's literally like 6 more hours of the game to go. Like, why the fuck are you just clicking in here? And Des was like, I am trapped. And I was like, and I literally was like,
Des failed the first part of this whole entire final puzzle section. The easiest puzzle, where it's just activate the menu. Just try to use the menu.
No, I remember now. You know why I didn't do that? Because by that point I was like, I don't want to betray Miyuki, so maybe there is some game left, but I don't want to like try, because that would be betraying Miyuki. So I'm just gonna keep doing this.
Miyuki killed people.
She killed people in a fictional world. I'm on a superior meta layer to Miyuki. Why should I care?
Oh my god. Anyway, so Des is a stupid idiot, and then basically said I love you for 2 hours, right? Did you say for
an hour? I actually timed it because I was like, okay, this is a stupid challenge. I'm gonna do it. And then I timed an hour.
You know, you could have just hit skip, and then you could have got 10k easy. Saying,
okay, but where's mushroom? Where's the meaning in that? You know, there's no flavor in that.
What is the meaning of you clicking it manually for a goddamn hour?
I'm really glad
that shows
he likes Cookie Clicker.
That shows my love for Miyuki.
That's because you're an idiot. You can't just fucking go back and retroactively say that it was all worth it.
No, mushroom.
It's the worst
Come
Suncom
on,
fallacy
It's
of
all
all
worth
time.
it because I sat there for an hour not knowing how to progress.
Are you actually?
Because I love Miyuki so much.
Are you actually gonna tell me?
Not because I was not smart.
Like I was having a bonding moment with Miyuki. How could I skip text?
Miyuki's not a real person, Des.
Shut up. Okay, we'll get there.
Have a bonding moment with
He's
her.
interacting.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
The
He's
themes
interacting
of the
with the
game.
themes of the game. He's being a.
This is not like a DS person you will marry that you'll marry.
Okay.
to.
Yes. Okay. Let's continue. So if you weren't Des and you weren't a fucking idiot, you would realize either you can restart the section or you can close out the game and do it like close out the game and start it again and close out a game and start it again for it to basically resets, and then now she would actually let you do stuff.
I think in the menu here you have access to scenes, right?
Yes, you have access to quote unquote memories, which are not actual memories you had, but are just like scenes that she wrote, like as Miyuki wrote. And I do have to say, like, so at this scene, there's 2 ways for you to progress. You can either make her really happy or piss her the fuck off. The funny story is both Horsecam and I decided to make her happy, and I'm pretty sure Yesid went for the pissing her off route, which is really fascinating which made Yesid have a extra sex scene that both Horsecam and I did not get. And that totally drove me crazy. So like,
Wait, what was the sex scene?
Was I the only one who went with the I'm going to make her angry because I hate her for locking me
you
up?
did.
What was the extra sex
And then
scene?
then it just she got so angry that she just reset my progress in it because I thought that'd break me out, but it just reset my progress to neutral, and I was so pissed off.
Horsecam, the sex scene that I was referring to is the sex scene. So just for everybody to understand, after all 3 of us finished the game, and Des haven't even started yet, we got into a voice call and started ranking all the sex scenes. We just did a sex scene tier list, and then Yesid started describing a sex scene that both Horsecam and I were like, what? Like, I don't remember that happening. And then the sex scene is that if you piss Miyuki off enough, Miyuki cosplays as Aoi and then has sex with you. But meanwhile, she's keeps being berating Aoi's body and then saying basically has angry sex with you. And then she
Oh, right.
And then, suddenly, she changes back into Aoi, and then she's like, say, you only like me, you say you only want to have sex with me, and it's, really, really, like it's like a super good scene. Like I was able to experience after, because I made both Ambi and my friend do that scene, because I was like, it's a good scene, we should do it. So then we made her mad, and then she reset it back to neutral. But yeah, that's
I cannot believe you call yourself a Miyuki chooser, but then you pissed her off on purpose, Mushroom.
yeah. But I want to have scenes. I want to see all her sex scenes. So maybe that means I actually.
Okay, so Miyuki doesn't have feelings as long as you get to see. Okay, Mushroom. Okay, exploiting your girlfriend. Okay.
Well, the thing is like the good news is I have never, and every single time I played this game and every single time I watched somebody else play it, I have always chose Miyuki. So I don't actually know what's in Aoi's route. So yeah, so that's what Yessa did. So you basically have to read lots of memories and have to memorize a bunch of stuff. And
yes, I would like to call out the development team for not making it clear that I could choose what scene I'm gonna watch.
That's because you're stupid. You don't understand. You do not. Okay, Des. Clearly, that is not my like. It is clear to everybody who's listening to this podcast and listening to this episode that you don't understand how to play visual novels. You didn't even know backlog existed.
Okay.
Like you were reading Fata Morgana.
Okay.
Read better.
You don't know the backlog existed? Des, you read Umineko! That has a backlog!
Okay, I think Mushroom may have shifted universes right now, because I also don't remember not knowing the backlog existed. That's another fragment.
Are you just talking about the thing in Fata Morgana? That's a spoiler? Or?
No, we just said backlog existed. We didn't know what.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, Des, were you not the person who told me that you didn't read any of the backlog?
No, yeah, I said I didn't read any of the backlog. I didn't say I didn't know it existed. Like, why would I constantly check the backlog if I have no need for it?
The backlog is just rereading information.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that you read slowly, but you never go back and be like, oh shit, I remember. You never go back to the backlog to catch up on.
I do. No, I do, which is why I eventually found out about it. But I only found out about it when it was already, in the middle stages of Falls for Door 4, which is when I think it starts.
I constantly check the backlogs because I'm just usually read and then my brain kind of zones out and wait, I forgot to actually take it what I read.
Me too. But where was I? Oh yeah, I didn't know you could choose the scene. I just kept going through the scenes and basically hoping that the next scene would be a new one.
Yeah.
Do we talk about the UI change?
Yeah, we did. But what do you want to talk about the UI change? It's cool.
I just really like how actually
jank it looks.
Genuine it feels as a debug early stage version. When you see a cashier's computer and it just looks like it's running Windows XP or even fucking 98 OS.
Yeah, I also did not realize it was Miyuki's programming skills that did that. Because she does say she bought a book about programming, but for some reason that just flew a bit above my mind.
So to do the next part, you basically just have to go through all the scenes until you basically get the chance to take Miyuki's phone.
Yes.
And you at one scene you should be able to figure out you can look at something to get God's number, or it's mentioned to you earlier, I think. Oh no, it's mentioned to you in Aoi's route, where Aoi says if you need to call her, you call
my number.
Yeah, you call her number. So you just do that, and then basically.
And I think at the time when you're when you get to this point, I think there's a line that says Miyuki is aware of everything that goes on in game, so maybe you should look outside of the game for a clue or something.
Not yet.
No, that happens at the very end. It's I mean, that's really good. That's how it happens so late. But what I was trying to say is that the whole basically you have to read a lot about the whole Miyuki thing, and then I think Miyuki takes you on the rooftop the first time and basically tells you oh, I'm gonna go delete Aoi now, and you could steal her phone and try to call Aoi back, and even if you steal her phone and try to call Aoi back, Miyuki would be oh, well, I was able to redirect your phone call because I know where you are always because I read the backlog. And then if you scroll back to read the dialogues, you actually see like she's like, this is how I know because I read your backlog and I know where you are and you will never be able to escape. And that's also really cool things that's dialogue in the backlog that you don't get to see until if you scroll back.
Yeah. Because then you go into the second section after you call God, where Miyuki's like, no, you can't do that anymore. To where you're still in the scene thing, but now you have to access her phone again. But now it's the worst part because you have to do a multi-choice quiz to get into her phone, and the answers are completely randomized per playthrough.
Yeah, is it 20 questions?
It's 10 questions. It's 10
It's
random
10 questions, but
questions. I think it's out of possible 20, I think. Maybe more.
Okay, I think it's 10 questions. It's out of 20, but the 10 questions, every time you get it wrong, it resets the number. So, like, every time you get one wrong, you have to answer 10 more questions.
Yeah, and you get 3 tries per attempt, and all the answers are randomized on your playthrough.
Yeah.
So you cannot...
So,
Yeah.
you cannot go outside and look for the answers, which is the best thing of all time.
Because it wants you to learn about Miyuki, which is I actually really like. Because if you actually read the scenes, you'll be like, oh, I got it. Yeah, I know Miyuki. Or you can just completely guess. Which is probably a great way of doing it, because Miyuki does...
Yeah, I think I just tried.
Miyuki does reference how many times you did it.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she's always bringing up how many times we did the maid sex scene, and I'm like, girl, I did not do it because I just didn't know how to change scenes. Miyuki, stop telling me how many times.
Oh yeah, there is 2 scenes. Yeah, there's 2 sex scenes in this section. I forgot about. There's
yes,
the maid
so
one that Des just mentioned.
Maid one sex scene.
And then the
rooftop.
weirdo one. No, not the roof. Oh, there's the
there's
rooftop.
3 sex scenes. There's
there's a
three-
rooftop.
Well,
and
there's 4 sex scenes in total. There's the sex scene that both the Horsecam and I just agreed on is the best sex scene in the game, is the handjob scene.
Yeah, where Shinichi just watches porn on his phone, and it's just him having quote-unquote sex with Aoi, while Miyuki just gives you a hand job during it.
Which is
a really
the best sex scene in the whole game.
It's like-
so good.
It's kind of intense and kind of cool. I like reading it.
It's the emotional manipulation that makes the scene amazing.
Yeah.
And it's a good scene. Like, I personally think that scene is great because the amount of vitriol she spews and, like, how mean she is about the whole sex scene and, like, how she just makes you feel awful. And then, but also she's like, yes, like, you know, like, isn't Aoi the worst? Like, what kind of character, like, what kind of person would like some character like a slut like her? Like, you know, like, she, like, one hand she says she likes the main character, the other hand she goes and has sex with the other dude, and, like, she just keeps going and going, and you're just like, oh god. It's a great scene.
Yeah, because you do the whole security thing.
Do you want to say how many tries people got?
I did 3 times. Because I was missing like 1 or 2
I think I did
things.
3 as well.
The time when I played this game on the couch with a bunch of people, they did it in 1.
Yeah, I mean, you had a lot of people.
Well, we had a lot of people to remember the things, so...
Well, just like 2 people. 2 people actually remembered. The other 2 wasn't really paying that much attention. But they did a really good job, so I was really impressed.
So what about by yourself? How did you do?
I think I did it like 2 times or 3 times. I think like there's sometimes I just like it was just like misclicks, and you're just like, oh well, I guess I fucking
Yeah,
did it
because
wrong,
some
so-
things, because I know there are some questions that only are important, that only come at like right at the beginning, and they don't have a scene associated to them that you can just go back and read. So you just have to remember it. And like some questions faintly
like
mention.
for example, like the question, how long have we been dating? It's like, oh, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't remember. Like it's really fascinating. I think it's so cool the game calls you out on it. Like basically says like, oh, at this point you would have realized that there's no way for you to have gotten the answer because there's no playthrough online that can possibly tell you. Like all Miyukis are like special Miyukis and are individual Miyukis, and I am like specifically made for you, and it's so good. Like it's
Snowflake Miyuki.
yeah. It's good.
Hold on. I want to see the questions themselves.
I know for sure my my Miyuki wanted to be a president, and she likes mochi, like she likes strawberry ice cream or something, and it's like all these like very specific little things that are different. I'm pretty sure your Miyuki had witchcraft, and my Miyuki liked like geography books.
Yeah. So the questions are: why did I get rid of my phone? How many weeks have been since we've been started living together? Which of these do I hate the most? When we order takeout, what do I prefer? Back when I was in kindergarten, what did I want?
Yeah. What's the how many possibilities of Miyuki there could possibly be? I don't remember.
I think there's 4 choices per each thing. So there's 30 choices. So it would be 30 to the power. Shit, I forgot how to calculate it. It's 4 to the power 30.
So yeah, that's one of just it's such a good like choice scenes. Like it really makes you like have to pay attention. It's like punishing you and being like, if you didn't pay attention, then you don't get to proceed.
You don't get to keep playing the game.
Yeah, basically.
No, it's just you have to trial and error instead of just going through it like early.
I mean, I personally think it's easier to just read the scenes again. It doesn't take you that long to read them. I mean, I guess I'm not one to say because I read really fast. Oh, did I say that I finished Stormlight Archive? It's really good. I finished all 4 books. It was 4.5k pages. It was so long. Every page, like every book is like 1,000 pages long.
Yeah, now do the Bible.
Bible was not that long.
Really? Okay.
Horsecam, did you figure out what you were trying to say?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out. Okay, so 4 to the power 30. You know how many unique Miyukis there could be? There could be about... Oh shit, I had it. That's millions, billions, trillions, quadrillions? What is it? Quintillion?
Shit.
There's
Umineko.
1.1 quintillion different Miyukis you can get.
That many?
I think that's doing my math right. Because it should be... Because there's 4 answer choices for 20 questions. Not 30 questions. That's wrong. It's 4 to the power 20. There's too much. It's still going to be a lot.
But like the quiz section and like afterwards she asks like, do you love me? And you can say yes or no. And I just selected no, and she just said, you don't really believe that. You just selected that because you as a player just wanted to click that, right?
Oh my god.
And I like how how like the game makes you think about how little you can really glean from a player's decisions when the decisions are all pre-written.
Yeah.
Because when you answer the quiz correctly, she says, "Oh, I know that you as a player really love me because you learned all that about me, but I just trial and error my way through it just to get to the end."
Yeah.
So
I can't believe I forgot the most, the best and the worst sex scene of all time, where we're gonna talk about that part.
I actually really like that line that you just brought up, Yansit, because through this whole part, I was already pretty invested in Miyuki. So through this whole part, she just kept saying, "Oh, you love me, right?" And then I would always select yes, because it's like she's talking to Shinichi. So like. And I don't want to make Miyuki feel bad, so I'm just going to keep choosing yes. But then I got to that point, and for some reason I was like, it feels like she's speaking to the player, so I'm going to say no. And then she said it, and I was like, yes, thank you, you understand Miyuki. Because I didn't want to lie to her, like, poor Miyuki.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating because... Okay, so this leads on to the sex scene that Horsecam and I talked a lot about, which is... a unskippable fucking sex scene that just plays at you instead of you clicking through, and there's no way for you to fast forward them. The dialogue will play out one by one, and you just have to sit there and take it. And yeah, so Horsecam, what do you want to say about this sex scene?
This sex scene is very weird to watch.
It's just Miyuki literally masturbating in front of you.
Yeah, it's like
but fantasizing that
it's you.
My real penis is in her fictional vagina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is
yeah.
I think it's supposed to like I think it's supposed to be like this weird like scene of like, oh shit, this character's just fucking bonkers, and she actually believes that I really like her. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like me, this scene is very weird because it's like a POV thing. It's not like, oh, a character's like the main character's having sex with a character. It's like you are having sex with Miyuki, which is, depending on who you are, is gonna be very weird.
Yeah, it's a wild scene. There's in the sex scene, it also has one of my favorite quotes, which is the quote where the subtitle, like, so she, like, and this is the very beginning of the sex scene, and she fingers herself, and it says, in the English subtitles, it says, you're lucky. In the Japanese version, there will be mosaic in the way, because in the original Japanese voice acting, which I can also hear, it says, oh, I'm super wet right now, but I guess you can't see me because it has mosaic in the way. It's just the funniest translation, like joke that's like possible. Like it's just such a good joke.
Yeah, and it is good that in the English version, since it wouldn't have mosaic, they decided to change the line to "haha, you're pretty lucky." That was nice.
Yeah, it says, "Yeah, you're pretty lucky. You can see it."
Yeah, clever clever localization change.
Yeah, that's the clever. This is the most. While this cannot save Molly Lee, but this is at least a plus on Molly Lee. And because it's really funny, because this is a scene where it actually makes sense that she says the word cock and all that stuff, because like this is very different from the first section she has with you. With the main character.
She's deranged now.
Yeah, she's just completely deranged. And I also the whole time I was messaging Horsecam, I just says, oh, okay, like, I don't have a cock, but sure. and it's like, there's also like all of these funny dialogues that like throughout the sex scene, she says, I mean, why would I have sex with a blank slate that changes its personality based on a series of choices? Which I thought was like a really funny thing. She's like, I would rather have sex with you, a living human being, on the other side of the screen.
Yeah, it's interesting because Miyuki is to us what Shinichi is to her right now.
Yes. And also I just thought it was really funny because, like, how the fuck do you censor this scene? Like this scene just doesn't exist in the censored version, but this is the pinnacle of the game. Like, I feel like this is the physical and literal climax of the game.
Like, because right after this is the final sex scene.
The final showdown.
Like, where, like, Miyuki chases you and kills you, like, 6 times.
Yeah.
Depending on how many...
I think I'll, like, just talk about how I think about just overall themes. But the fourth wall of VNs kind of goes both ways. Because I feel like Aoi and Miyuki both, like, work weirdly well as both allegories for an NPC and for the player at the same time. Because Aoi is, like, the sexual part, where she only exists to play the sex scenes, like, as a player, but also she only exists as an NPC for the player to have sex with. Because there's really no difference between the player as an entity that selects things and just what is written in a VN when everything is predetermined.
Yeah, I also wanted to go back to something I forgot to say, because you said Shinichi was like very possessive of Aoi, and actually not that. I remember that. Actually, there's one thing that made me think the opposite. Because Shinichi did feel very possessive, but then when Aoi tells him the truth, then he's like, he still feels bad about his girlfriend having to go around fucking other dudes, but in order for her to keep living, he accepts it. So that's actually a very nice point for him, for being like, he's faced with this weird situation that goes against what he would have liked, but he tries to accept it for the sake of Aoi.
I think that's actually a really interesting thing you mentioned, Des, because in dialogue, Shinichi actually talks a lot about choices that he would choose and choices he wouldn't choose. Like, for example, like, the whole scene right before he goes up and has sex with both Haru and Aoi, he literally is lying on a sofa and it's like, why did I make that decision? Like, I would have never made that decision. I guess it was fate. So, like, in a way, like, I feel like if Shinji was fully in control of his decisions, which he is not, we are choosing for him, that would have not been the choices he would have made. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I also like that Totono does
what-
explore that a bit about how like the protagonist is not the protagonist; he is being controlled by a higher force.
I also really like in the end part where Shinichi gets in control, and it's just you select the option, but it's just one choice, because if the protagonist really was just the protagonist, they'd only come to one conclusion anytime.
Yeah, and I mean, we're kind of jumping to the end, but my favorite part in the very end is when Shinichi talks to you, the player, and he says, you know, like, you really fucked this up for me, like, as in, like, you really just like you made all these choices, you know what to choose, right? Like, you don't want to, like, and it's really funny because I think I had this conversation with Yisid after we finished, that I said, like, what is more horrifying than a like this game is basically like a body snatcher horror where a alien possesses your body and makes all the worst decisions for you. And then like uses your body to go have sex with like girls, and then like for your enjoyment, for the alien's enjoyment.
And back to the Mizuki scene, how the fourth wall splits both ways romantically for the player and NPC, because a relationship can only last as long as you're just playing the game and can never go beyond that. So Mizuki is like almost like the player just repeating the game, because they can't do this relationship any other way besides just repeating the game over and over between like them and the NPC,
Which we are the NPC.
And the like the sex scene part with her masturbating. If I'm just like not doing anything and just kind of watching
if you're not into it,
as this person is just masturbating right in front of the screen, it's just like I'm the nothingness behind the screen that the player is masturbating to, thinking that there's a connection there, as I just cannot act on anything.
yeah, like
That's it. Yeah.
at that moment we are the NPC and she's the player. I totally agree. I think this is a thing that I messaged Horsecam when I was playing this, that I said, why does this, I cannot believe I'm getting raped by a visual novel character. It's like, in a way, it feels so intrusive and so like there's like, you have zero control and it's just happening in front of you. And she's like talking, it's especially poignant if you don't feel any, like, if you don't want to actually be having sex with her. It feels so awful because she's saying like, oh, I can feel you, you understand, this is love, you also feel it, like, you know. And it's I also thought it was really funny because I was like, yes, like, I love the fact that like it is just addressing to like only dudes, like no women play visual novels, and you know, like I think that's really funny. The whole time.
Yes,
I like
your dick that you totally have.
the dick that I totally have.
Yeah,
of
that's
course.
probably a weird scene to do it, like the projector thing you were talking about.
Yo,
And so, like,
100%. Oh
just,
my
like,
god, it was the wild.
It's like, oh,
It was. We just sat there and we were like, God damn! And then I said, you should go like heat up some popcorn because the scene is gonna go for a while.
it's like
So, yeah,
unskippable cutscenes. I think you.
unskippable cutscene.
I don't even
So,
know
yeah.
if you can pause.
No, you can't. That's the stupidest thing. Unskippable cutscenes, okay, and pausable cutscenes. Now that's where I draw the line.
Yeah. So basically the scene plays and we arrive at the final section of the game where you realize that like, or one of the other things that I thought was really cool is the diary that Miyuki writes. Those are all real dates that you play in real life. I thought that was really fucking cool. You get God's phone call and you have to find the special code that would help basically help reset the world. And it tells you to find a number that exists outside of the world and then time like plus another number and then minus Miyuki's favorite number.
It's the god number,
which is Aoi's number minus the reality code, which you get from the manual. Which
Well, no, actually, so you guys all got it from the manual, right?
yes.
Yes, but you can also get it from somewhere else.
Yes, you can get it from
The
multiple
websites,
places.
right?
So you can get it from the website. You can get it on the YouTube trailer. If you scroll down to the YouTube trailer, you will get there's a number there that you can also copy. On the Steam page, I'm pretty sure there's a number as well. And if you type in whatever number you got it from, the game actually acknowledge where you got the number from. It'll be like, yes, this is the Steam page number, or yes, this is the number from the channel trailer.
Yeah, and then Miyuki's
Really
favorite
nice.
number is how many times
you came in her. Congratulations.
Which I think mine was about 7 or 8, I think. I know you got 7.
Yeah, or it's like, yeah, I got.
But it only counts. It only counts on the inside. If you come outside, it doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which most of the
There's-
times you're gonna get that number for just skipping the scenes, because as you're waiting for a specific scene to play, so you're just gonna skip like
Yeah.
4 sex scenes because like those are because you just got bad luck.
Yes. And I mean, like, you can still choose to. That's actually really funny because if you choose to come on her and then come in her, which in 2 different scenes, she would actually commentate on, like, oh, like, I guess you just want to collect all those CGs. Congratulations. Now you have, like, you got to see me in both ways or something. There's a lot of actually really cool little Easter eggs that happens if you repeat scenes. Like, for example, if you have the sex with her the second time on the rooftop, she would actually remember to bring spare underwear, like, in the second time.
Yeah.
And then I think another example is that, like, the maid sex scene on your birthday, when it happened, it actually I think, like, that she also there's also more birthday candles on there or something,
Yeah.
which are all really cool details.
Yeah.
So if you
My number. So wait. I was looking for my number. So what were your
I
numbers?
think mine was
think,
7
like,
or 8.
let's see.
I know mushrooms was 7.
think,
'Cause she posted. She said.
Yeah, because I think I
Okay.
got a really low number because I kept being like, you guys need to.
Oh no, it was 10 for me. For me, it was 10.
Yeah, I think I had
Okay.
really low
For me,
number.
it was 16. I came 16 times in her.
Congratulations.
Because you were waiting around for scenes.
Yeah, because you didn't
Yes.
understand that you can use the fucking menu.
Yes.
But yes.
Yeah. I want to say the minimum is probably because you
Minimum
can
is
call
like
that
5.
number. You can call that number when you first get her phone in that section, so you don't have to wait till the actual ending to call the number. I think the minimum would be 2 or 3.
Yeah, because I think there's the ones in the very beginning you have no control over.
Yeah, and there's 2 of them at
Yeah.
least.
So after you call the god number, both of them come back and Aoi pleads to you and says, like, you know, we have to set this world right. And then Miyuki is like tired and Aoi's like, you know, you're my best friend and I don't want you to suffer like this. We were going to set this world right and, like, you know, you're not happy here. Like, you're just living the day over and over again. And then Chi-Chi turns the camera to you and says, you know, you fucked this up. You know, you got to make a decision. And says, like, you know, you have to choose between the two of them, and you could and, like, you know, you could reset the game and you can go watch playthroughs, but you will only be able to make this choice once, and, you know, if you did all those other things, you will be betraying them. And I don't really care. I can't stop you, but, you know, you will always know in your heart that you made the wrong decision. All right,
Yeah, which I think
betrayed
is really fine. That it's really good, nice that the game is like trusting you, being like, you know, what makes this game special is the trust that these fictional characters are placing in you, that you will not betray them.
them. Yeah.
Like by doing another playthrough, you're like screwing up the magic of this game.
Yeah, because once you make your choice,
I do like games that acknowledge, like, your first choice in this thing will always be your first choice, so that would be, like, a consequence if you, like, just go out of the game, or reset the game again, like Undertale.
like
Yeah, how Undertale will always remember your choices.
Or, no, that, like, Undertale will be like, if you reset the save, you're literally resetting this universe. Do you want to do that to see the other things?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, once you make your final choice, it's like you have to reset the entirety of the game. You have to uninstall it and reinstall it if you want to reset everything.
And delete your save file, all that stuff to just even do it again. So yeah, do everybody want to say what their choices are and why they picked it?
Miyuki. Just Miyuki.
Miyuki.
We all four of us did Miyuki.
Yeah, we went against the developers, because I think most of the developers wanted, like, Aoi. Because judging by the art you unlock after you beat the game, like, they mostly were like Aoi.
Wait, really?
Well, I think there's a half and half. I think it's half and half even on the development team.
But I do think it's a really nice addition, the developer page that you unlock at the end. It's so nice to
it's the best. It's the best thing to read. It's so good.
I just like that in Nitro Plus games of just going to a website that just has just little tidbits afterwards, so that like you can always just go to it whenever, but it's just like a nice bonus afterwards.
I agree.
Without having to like launch the game again.
Yeah, I really like the development page because. So this is where I'm gonna bring up Doki Doki Literature Club again, but it's incredible to me. Like, so while I agree to Des that maybe he might have not thought about that his game was gonna revolutionize what American people thought about visual novels, he still like basically played into like, oh, like, you know, like the visual novel tropey things or what he thinks the visual novel tropes are. I do think there's something really special to me to know that like this game made by people who worked in Nitro Plus, like Totono, like You and Me and Her, is a game where people really cared about visual novels. Like everybody in their notes wrote about like, oh, like they joked about like, oh, this game is gonna kill bishoujo games, like as in like these are gonna kill like otome games, like, you know, you're literally writing you're like, this is a love and hate mail, like a hate letter to these like whole genre of like dating sims, and how like the conceptual idea of like, you know, they made fun of the idea of dating sims, but they also really embraced it, and how even though they're like making fun of the concept of like, yes, why would you want to have sex with fictional characters, they still wrote lots of scenes and like made great art for it, and then like had amazing voice acting. It's like the most full extent of like what it could possibly be. So it made me feel, it's such a different feeling after finishing Totono than finishing Doki Doki Literature Club, because you could see that like You and Me and Her was made with such great understanding of the genre. Like these were made by veterans who like understood what they were like and were fans and had a lot of things to say about this game, and instead of being like, I watched animes and I played 5 visual novels and now I'm gonna make a game.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a 4-hour video.
Yeah, like the commentary has like actual bite to it of someone who understands the genre and like understands what works and doesn't work.
I think it's because like the characters fit archetypes, and a comment on the archetypes where like DLC's characters don't really comment on anything. Like
DDLC is just kind of like the mental illness is bad, but not really much more than that.
Bad.
Like,
I think DDLC
is
like hand in hand with Danganronpa being like, yes, mental illness, quirky, ha 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 ha.
Like, it isn't even quirky, it's just like, oh, you should feel bad for these characters because they have more going on than what you'd see on the surface. Because this character's getting abused, but there's not anything more than that.
Yeah, like it's like they say it's like a breakdown of like the visual novel dating sim genre, but like the issue with that is that it kind of breaks it down, but they don't really have anything to say on it. It's like when I remember when deconstructions of genre became really popular because of shows like Madoka Magica and some other shows, like in like that kind of genre felt after the deconstruction genre got really popular. Any show that was a deconstruction of a genre was either really boring to watch or just wasn't interesting, or was something that didn't really say much.
Yeah, a lot of just really surface level. Just whoa, it's
Yeah.
it's meta.
Yeah. Deconstruction. Okay, some shows are deconstructing, but it really pisses me off when people have like zero other arguments to say something good about the show, and they're just like, yes, such a good deconstruction of the genre. It's just like, man, come back with a good argument. Like, I feel like any YouTuber nowadays just slaps that expression in every video. It's just like, wow, is any anime a deconstruction of the genre now? Shut the fuck up, man. Yeah, I have video essay allergy.
You know, Higurashi Go was a deconstruction of Higurashi. You know that? It was just a deconstruction of the original show.
I do think like You and Me and Her, and now it's after you restart the game, it just becomes You and Her, a love story.
I am 14 and
Oh yeah, because
so
you
cool,
only
like,
because you only have access. You can restart the game and it'll just be like a short scene and they'll end, and they'll have access only to like the gallery would only have Miyuki's CGs or Aoi's
it's a
CGs.
nice touch.
The only way to unlock both of them at the end screen is that there's another number. I don't remember how you get it.
So I think there's another number you can get if you go online and search for it. I don't know where you would get it in like any innate state, but I think like it's a number that you could put in when you open the game. You find a phone, you can put in a number and call the number, and the game would reset, and you be able to access all of the cutscenes and you'll be able to access all the cutscenes, all the CGs, and all of the sex scenes. And when you boot up the game, it says, oh, I just finished You and Me and Her, but I didn't really have that much connection with any of the characters. I just wanted to see how the sex works. So like the sex scenes. So now I have all the sex scenes, and it satisfied the completion side of me. Isn't that and then that's when you can see all of the sex scenes, and the screen goes back into being
I am
red screen.
Yeah, anytime that you're able to call that number, I think Miyuki in the final, if you call that number towards the final section, Miyuki actually does say something about it. Like Miyuki will be like, "Don't do that, please," because like essentially you're deleting her because she doesn't exist in that world. She's just a collection of CGs.
I am very curious to know what the other things are like, but I do feel a bit of pride about having the game with only Miyuki. It's like, yes, I am being loyal to my waifu. I am so cool.
I like meta stuff in PC games more because they can just insert a file really deep into your computer that you don't know how to delete to fix things. Whereas like with a console, you can just kind of like just reset it.
I was gonna
take
say,
out the disc.
I actually really didn't like. I was talking to somebody else about the DDLC.
It doesn't
on
work.
PS5 and the PS5. It doesn't work. It just it completely breaks the magic. It gives you a fake computer screen.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it has
literally ruins
the Enterprise OS. I believe that's what it's called. I think
I hate
it's
that.
called
That's
Metalverse OS, right? I have the
but like
somewhere.
it literally ruins the game. Like I think this is the only time I believe in console, like as in like something should be something exclusive, is like these type of games should be PC exclusive. Like One Shot should be a PC exclusive, because the One Shot on PC is so good that I don't understand how you can possibly move it on anything else, because it does such great tricks with the computer. So yeah, this is also my glorious recommendation to One Shot if you want to play something that's also really cool with meta commentary.
Alright, I think my Yumi and Her save is gone because I
congratulations.
like
You
had
can
to
play it all
reset
over
my
again if your heart
computer.
desired.
Oops.
Yeah, you used the cheat code, get all the sex scenes out.
Oh yeah, did you guys know that
Really?
that Aoi and Miyuki are in a fighting game? Or yeah, they're
that's
assist
cute.
characters in Nitro Plus Blasters, it's the fighting game where Saya no
amazing.
can fight fucking Fate Stay Night Saber, but like they're just like assist characters where Aoi like just takes out her phone and gives a bar of meter to both characters, and Miyuki is just a launcher that hits
nice.
a character with her bat and is a launcher move to start a combo.
Just another thing I want to say before we close this out. I think I think Doki Doki Literature Club has some good ideas. However, I think I do agree with Des when he says, when you get to the part where you just get to the Just Monica space part, like the game just ends. There's not much happening after that. Like, the scene only has 5 minutes worth of content and it loops and then it just gets boring and there's nothing else.
I think I more think that the problem is that the game climaxes at Sayori's suicide, and there's just not really, or that's just, the emotional payoff of the whole game, and it's halfway through.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just doesn't do, much else with, the mental illnesses of the characters, because I think that's probably, where the story's strong suit should have been, but it's just the somewhat well-executed medium twists that are the whole game's selling point.
Yeah, and I think, You and Me and Her is basically what if your visual novel girlfriend was sentient but pushes it to the most max extreme, where in the end, I feel what I really like about the whole Miyuki hell is that Miyuki at a point is literally just using sex scenes to entice you to stay, basically, so you can do it over and over again. And, I think it's very fascinating and just extremely well done and really pushes the genre to, a very satisfying conclusion.
Yeah,
Yumi and Her, took its own ideas and ran with it, whereas DDLC just kind of walked with it accidentally.
DDLC's Acts 2 and 3 are not very interesting to read through. Or, Act 2 has a lot of stuff going on, with the whole, glitchiness of it, but it's just, jump scare glitches, you're unsettled because of all the glitchiness, and it starts waiting on you after the first couple to where you're not scared by it.
Yeah, I think that Yumi and Her does its medium breaks a lot more interestingly, where all of the glitches feel very genuine. Of this is how software to make visual novels would work in a bare bones state.
Yeah.
Whereas DDLC is just that's not how glitches work.
I also love there's a part in You and Me and Her where the text just exceeds the text box and it's just left back that way, and it's just funny to me because it totally makes sense that Miyuki as a first time programmer is just whatever, it goes out, I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, I love shit like that. That's something that you do just see in English fan translations of games. It's a subtle thing.
It's the endless loop of You, Me, and Her has a lot of things going on with it. There's a lot of things where I don't think everything in that loop has ever been found. I think there's probably some dialogue options or words that have not been spoken, that have not been seen by people because of they're locked behind some weird set of circumstances, not having the game on for a decade and then coming back to Miyuki.
Yes, yeah. That's a thing. If you leave your game on for a decade, that triggers more dialogue. It's there's such cool little things that they put in that it just shows so much care. After we finished this game, my friend, I played this game with my friend who's a game developer major, and she was telling me and my other friend who's a computer science major, they were talking about they would love to have seen what the dialogue tree for this game looked like, because it must have been insane. Just to have the scenario trees to keep track of every little small things that you did, so other things would pay off is quite quite
to be
wild.
fair, I don't think it's that hard to do that, because not to look at the dialogue tree, but to produce something like the endless loop or anything like that, because it's just adding a flag to the save file, how DDLC does it.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of crazy to think about that, because one of the things that I really like that Des mentioned, that Des is well, the game never told me that I had to remember what her dialogues are, is that I like the fact that if you go back and play the game, you would realize that every time she mentions a kind of a curveball, or she mentions the book she wanted or the sweet she liked or she disliked, all of those lines are seamlessly woven into the game. Like, you know, the voice acting sounds very natural. Like, the things that she's saying is really natural. Like, there's no part that makes it feels like it's stitched together. It's like they just voiced like all of those lines and then just put it there, and then like that's like 120 different lines that you had to voice and then like keep a track of. And
yeah, I really like explicitly missable content in games that are very committal.
Yeah, like, yeah, if you
Or,
weren't
like,
paying
it
attention,
does-
how would you
It
know?
isn't just a bunch of content for you to get through. It's content that's specifically tailored to your own experience. That's very committal. That you would tell other people or hear from other people and be like, "Whoa, I didn't know about that," and it adds a lot more mystery to a game. Like the sex scene I got with the hate route, where you guys just didn't get that at all.
Yeah.
That, like, it took like a while for me to go through that hate route, and that was just a natural thing I committed to.
And the game doesn't even tell you that you missed it, you know? Like, you know, you could have just walked away with the game being like, oh, I'm pretty sure, like, if you don't even if you never say I want Miyuki, you wouldn't even get the route where, you wouldn't even get the sex scene where you see like the whole,
maid.
like, there's like 2 specific sex scenes you wouldn't see. Like, there's this whole sex scene where Miyuki gives you Aoi by giving you a scene where Aoi sucks your dick, like, and like gives you a blowjob, and then there's another scene which is the hand job scene, which never happens if you like never say I want Aoi, which is crazy. Like, you know,
I do really like how a lot of the missable content is like you just cannot load back to it.
yeah, exactly. Just it's gone and it's gone. But yeah, thank you so much for everybody who's listening. I hope, even if you listen to all the way to the end and you still haven't played You and Me and Her, I hope what we have been talking about convinces you to play it. And then
I feel like this episode was a bit like incomprehensible if you didn't already play
Yeah,
Me and
true,
Her,
true.
we did not give any like
I mean,
synopsis.
we went
really.
through it bit by
Yeah.
bit,
Just our thoughts.
but like it's not like a full synopsis where
So-
we describe the.
So, like, I don't think it's too spoil. It's like so like hard to follow if you don't already know that it might like not be that spoilery. But
I mean, this
Yeah, exactly.
episode
It's kinda
is just
jumbled,
Like,
so
hey, we want to talk about.
I
something
think you could
passionate.
still enjoy You and Me and Her even after listening to this. Like, there still would be surprises for you.
also, if you're not like interested in when they cry at all and are just popping in this channel for the first time, we'll probably be making these Secret Tea Party on other visual novels like every now and then.
So yeah, stay tuned for those. And if you're interested, just go look at our other content, you know. We also have lots and lots. So, thanks for listening, and bye!